And it's time now for the Great British Debate this hour. And I'm asking, are Labour's housing plans hypocritical? And this is, of course, as Chancellor Rachel Reeves revealed that get Jonathan Ross to do that, that her party are working to overhaul planning rules and build on the Green Belt. But half of Sir Keir Starmer's cabinet opposed planning proposals in their own constituencies. So for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, are their housing plans hypocritical? Well, joining me now, property expert Russell Quirk, and also economist and director and co-founder of Regionally, Justin Urquhart-Stewart, former editor of the Labour list, Peter Edwards, and also farmer Hannah Cuthbert. Right, well, let's see. So I'm going to start with you, Justin Urquhart-Stewart. Are their plans hypocritical, seeing as a lot of them have been saying stuff?
Well, at the moment, they're just unclear. We're not quite sure what's happening. We seem to be getting different messages on it almost every single day. And the key thing when it comes to actually developing property or developing land is the level of consistency of approach.
Yes.
So people know where they stand and what they're going to be doing. The big problem they actually have with this is, particularly for individuals or for families, this is probably their biggest asset they've actually got to try and manage. Whilst they want to see development, they want to see development not in their backyard, but somebody else's backyard. They don't necessarily want it here because it can seriously impact on your valuation of property. You only have to look at those unfortunate people who have property next to the proposed HS2 route, and they've lost out a very great deal. Why? Because the planning system was not clear enough, fast enough, and also couldn't be funded.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, they're all saying things, but at the end of the day, a lot of them actually were not happy with certain plans that were happening in their own backyard. Russell Quirk.
Yeah, they will end up being hypocritical because, of course, Labour now have to face the inconvenience of government on the basis that they actually have to live by decisions and policies they make. In opposition, as of course they have been for 14 years, it's very, very easy to make proclamations and pledges and statements. You never have to cash the cheques, do you? But now, of course, when it comes to the £1.5 million that Rachel Reeves and Angela Rayner and Keir Starmer have told us that they will build, they've said that they absolutely will build 300,000 homes a year for the next 5 years. They're going to have to work out how to do that, not just in terms of trying somehow to solve the myriad of problems around the planning system, but also the rather inconvenient prospect of local objection, NIMBYism, as we call it, Nana. And the problem is, of course, when you become a constituency MP who is elected every 5 years on the basis of that local vote, if there's something in your constituency that your local residents don't like by way of a planning application, even if your government is saying, we've got to get on and build these homes, which they absolutely do, by the way, the issue absolutely then is when that individual MP, even if they're a cabinet minister, even if they're a senior member of the government, they then often acquiesce, give in, show weakness, pick one of those, to their constituents. And that is why we end up, as we did with the Conservatives many, many times, with, yes, a very ad hoc and non-performing house building programme versus actually what was promised because of the inconvenience of power and, yes, local populace.
All right. Well, Peter Edwards, former editor for the Labour list, where do you stand with this?
Well, we need to build more houses, and I think all main parties accept that. We have a great political system in the UK, unlike America, where there's a constituency link. You're Prime Minister for the whole country, but you represent one borough or area, roughly 100,000 people. And I think it's right that you stand up for them, but it does lead to these quirks under governments of any persuasion. I remember Michael Gove, the former housing secretary under the Tories, I think he also expressed concern about housing developments in his constituency. And that's just being a good constituency MP. You can say, I want more house building, which most parties do. That doesn't mean every development in every area has to be approved by every council all the time. Some will be right, some may need a second look.
Well, a lot of them have expressed objections, though, haven't they, in the past? And now, they all did a bit of the NIMBYism themselves. So I'm wondering how this is going to fly. And not only that, but what about a lot of the land that's going to be used for this house building? Hannah, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a difficult one. I mean, the Green Belt, effectively, not all of that land is productive. Farmers have diversified in environmental ways, and obviously not being able to touch the Green Belt is potentially affecting them. if they're not able to then sort of use that land that can't be used for crops, and then can't be used for other purposes affecting farming, where it could be more financial beneficial for them, and obviously providing houses for the sort of wider public, then it potentially does need to be looked at. Ultimately, though, people do need to eat, and I think sort of emphasis on food production should be the most important thing.
But what about the fact that Rachel Reeves says she's going to rip up planning laws, Hannah? Is that something that would be, you think, is a good thing? Because ultimately, if they do that, then it means that a lot of people will be actually powerless to resist whatever it is that they're planning.
I think this is the issue. So compulsory purchase orders that are implemented through this sometimes with housing developers, it can sometimes mean that, like you say, farmers are powerless in a situation. But ultimately, you know, I think on a case-by-case basis, if there's land that's sat there that isn't productive and isn't being used for anything and actually could be beneficial to the local community for the farmer, then that should be looked at. But at the same time, across the whole green belt, it isn't just agricultural. So I think sort of non-agricultural land where you've just got old things rotting there that aren't actually being used and could be used for houses should be put over the agricultural land.
But of course, it's not just the agricultural land as well, it's the infrastructure around it, Justin. And that seems to be, you know, it's all very well. The reason why often things are in the green belt is usually they're not connected to towns and they're quite a long way out. But there's the brown belt and other things that they could be using more economically. Do you think that economically it makes sense to be saying that they may request to use this particular land?
Yeah, I mean, it's vital to actually make sure you've got a strategic view as to what's going on, and then take into account the tactical elements as well. Everyone's going to complain about what happens locally to them, but strategically, the government needs to tell us which way we're going and how it's going to be affecting the entire economy. And you quite rightly identify there, it's not just about building houses. I used to live in Singapore, and it's fascinating there. You'd actually see some of the new metro system being put in place, and all the waterworks and such like, and the power being put in place for future development before anyone had laid a brick anywhere near it. That was proper planning in advance. Now, Singapore's the size of the Isle of Wight is completely different, but nonetheless, it showed how effective planning with the infrastructure can make sure you're building in the right place in the right way, with all the backup communities that are required, be it dentistry or just basic transport, not just actually putting up a row of houses, which may look rather pretty or probably not very well made, built in a rush, and lo and behold, turns out to be in the wrong place.
Because that's been a problem, Russell. Do you not think that's quite a major problem? That the issue here is it's always about location, location, location. And if you may want to build a load of houses, but what about the infrastructure around it? I would like to hear about the infrastructure that they're putting in to support any additional homes.
Yeah, so look, the infrastructure obviously is vital, particularly on larger developments. The irony is, of course, that the larger the development, the larger what they call the Section 106 agreement money is. So that's the legal agreement between the developer and the local authority that provides that on developments generally over 10 or 15 units, that developer has to provide money to the local authority stroke government for such things as additional roads, rail stations, doctor surgeries and so on. The bigger the development, the more money there is, and therefore the more infrastructure there is. But of course, the flip side of that is the bigger the development, particularly where Angela Rayner now is talking about providing lots of new towns around the country as part of her strategy to get that 1.5 million homes built. You can imagine that it's bad enough someone wanting to build 4 houses at the end of a cul-de-sac. When it's 4,000 houses in, the town next to you that's going to become a new town, then that, of course, is going to be an even bigger problem for Labour when it comes to particularly Labour MPs. But there's also a positive for Labour here, which is that a lot of the land that probably would be used for development, not necessarily Greenbelt, but a lot of the land for new towns will probably be in conservative areas. And so what we'll see here, Nana, quite frankly, is the political card being played, which is Labour saying, look, sorry, we've got to approve these homes in your area, but it will be conservative areas and therefore conservative constituency MPs that have the problem, not Labour.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I suspected. They will focus on that. Well, listen, I've got to say, I've got to move on to the news, but I appreciate all your thoughts.